what we do is we don't have a patter, or we don't, you know, sing many songs or anything like that. What we basically do is you just ask any old question you like with Leslie and Bruce.
Right.
Yeah.
And did I get that right? Bruce.
I assumed you did.
I did.
Okay.
And I can't remember because he always has some sort of harsh makeup on.
I know. I've never seen his real face in my life.
The stunt guys who work harder than any of us get made up and ready to rock and roll before we even get to the studio. So they're sitting around in full prosthetic, looking really miserable and sad, sorry for themselves. So what we do is we just answer your questions. You just keep firing them at us. And it doesn't matter what kind of question it is, tacky or clever or, you know, whatever you want to ask, because we'll lie. Without any worries at all if we have a problem with the question.
No, I'll tell the truth, so be careful what you ask.
So go for it, yeah.
I not want to know. Why did I go blonde? Because I did the musical Chicago in Las Vegas and in Washington. That was fun. And right away they said, something's not right. And Vicki Lewis, who I did it with, we were the two leads. She had red hair and they wanted me to have as strong a statement, so they made me platinum and cut it all off. I took so much time growing it and wearing wigs during the show to grow my hair, and they chopped it all off. But it was great. I'm actually just waiting around and seeing what happens with my hair like this.
I tell you, it was amazing to interrupt, sorry, as a husband, to see her do musical for the first time. Because I'd only heard about it, and I'd seen the photos, you know, the old days with Richard Burton or whatever it was, you were doing those musicals. Well, you know, no, I mean, when I say old, I mean, you know, this is just post-war. It's a way back. But I'd seen these photos, but to actually sit in the audience and the music sort of starts at the beginning of Chicago, which is kind of wonderful, and then this person with basically fishnet stockings and the whole 9 yards.
Oh, that was Vicki. Vicki wore fishnet stockings.
I like the one with fishnets. I knew there was something. Red hair, that's all. I just couldn't get, anyway. No, it was a true revelation. It was a wonderful thing. So I got to say, if you haven't seen it, she might be doing it on Broadway next year. At the beginning of the year. I hope you're going to do it on Broadway at the beginning of the year. Gotta go see it because it is fantastic. Enough said.
I'm the next one.
Gail, what's up? What have I forgotten?
Gail is
This is Gail Stever, who runs our fan club.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Amazingly, too. What she got? Oh.
T-shirt.
What is this? I'd climb any mountain to see Siddig. Aww.
Thank you very much. I have to just do a plug for Gail here. And this is, I mean, actors have fan clubs. I don't know if you know about it. It's kind of a weird thing. When I first got a fan club, which has nothing to do with Gail, by the way, she kind of inherited the whole fan club off a whole bunch of people. It's like, what am I going to do with this? And then Naha joined up with us. But the thing that fan clubs do, if you're not a member of anyone, and you've always been wondering whether or not you should be, it ain't nothing to do with us, believe me. Okay, you get a bunch of free photos and a signature, you know. But I think over the last year, will you tell me, just last year, what did we raise for a bunch of charities? What do you think?
Well, in 5 years we've raised $240,000.
$240,000 in the last 5 years, our fan club alone has raised.
It's really amazing. And it takes someone like Gail and all the other people who are involved to do that.
Flying away, getting everybody together. But I mean, that's amazing.
Organizing us, that in itself is a feat.
Yeah.
You know, actually trying to get things back, it's, you know, sending anything to our house or our apartment is like sending it to the Bermuda Triangle. It usually doesn't come out. You know, Django, our 4-year-old, has wandered off with it, or someone's thrown it out, deciding to, you know, suddenly clean, or, you know, things don't get out, and she is on it always and gets stuff.
I brought the shirt up so you can tell them about the movie.
Oh!
I knew she was doing Tit for Tat. We talked about Chicago, and I talked about Vertical Limit. Now, I will tell you something about going down to New Zealand to see him shoot this movie, Vertical Limit, all about mountain climbing. And it's remarkable. Usually your husband, you take the children and he goes off to work in a car. Bye, honey, see you later. No, he looked like the Michelin Man with all this equipment on, getting into this chopper and taking off in the mist. you know, and we'd all go, bye, Daddy, you know, and he'd come back that way too, you know, and it was just like, just eyes, just his green eyes showing. Everything else was, and he turned out, they had real heavy-duty, hardcore mountain climbing people in this movie, huge movie. And all the guys that you see in the videos and that you know have gone up Everest and everything, they were teaching these actors how to do it. And they wanted to take him. They said, let's do Mount Everest. You're incredible. He turned out to be an incredible mountain climber.
They wanted me dead.
But it was very exhilarating. It was a whole thing. He did, what was it, 6 weeks of training?
Yeah, we did actually 6 weeks of the gig was, it was like, we had to do this movie for 6 months. And I was like, why do we have to be there for 6 months? It's because there are 6 people stuck on a mountain together, and they're trying to save some people who just like, close to being to dying up in the mountain. So there's a bunch of actors, and some really great actors, like, is it Scott Glenn or Glenn Scott?
No, Scott Glenn.
Scott Glenn.
Don't ask me for names.
Who's great. I love Scott. And
yeah.
Scott Glenn. I called him Glenn Scott the entire picture, and he was pretty okay about it. And then
and then wait, so this is funny. I got a call in L.A. from Scott Glenn's wife.
Oh, yeah.
Saying, excuse me, who are you? And evidently there was some kind of mix-up.
Scott Glenn got my phone bill, I got his phone bill, and his wife saw the phone bill and it was like, all these people to Los Angeles, just the same number in Los Angeles? I'm going to ring and find out who this is, Scott. Hello? Hello? It's a woman!
It wasn't a very comfortable phone call, I have to say. I was like, why did I have to answer? But I did, and she was fine when she realized, no, I'm Sid's wife, I'm just, you know, I've never even met Scott.
You never had to pay that phone bill?
No.
Oh, it was great. It's a cell phone bill, too. Never had to pay. All to LA from New Zealand, can you imagine?
I'd be on the cell phone with him, and they would be on the top of this, it was just ice. You were on top of it.
It's only 10,000 feet, but it's pretty serious in terms of cold. And I mean, I tell another, you could actually see, I could watch the clouds. You know on those motion videos where you have on the Discovery Channel and History Channel and stuff, and they have the clouds rolling and the thunder going, and you're like, they just take this time-lapse photography, and it's not, you know. I actually saw a cloud just going over the top of this mountain. It was the most wild
But
thing.
actually just forming a cloud. Who's ever seen a cloud start in a blue sky? That's got to be amazing.
Yeah, the clouds would just start over the top of the mountains, and then avalanches would just come crashing down, and it sounded like windows breaking, weirdly. Hundreds of windows breaking. It was like, wild. Everybody would get out to take a photograph of it.
He's got some amazing photographs from it. I'd get a call, and he'd be on his cell phone, laying flat in a circle with all the other actors because they were being picked up by the helicopter, and that was one of the rules. They had to lay down flat so that no one got, you know, with helicopters, and all these safety rules. And I'd hear boom, 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 and all this shouting and stuff, and it was like, my God. He said, so how are the children? It was like he was calling me from Vietnam or something. It was really bizarre.
It was fun. It
was a long 6 months.
It was a very long
6 months. We only got down once to visit, the children and I, but it was great.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. New Zealand is gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous land. I have to say, after, 3 days, it's like, okay, this is gorgeous. Now, isn't there some place to eat, besides yes. We met through the show, but I don't think the set was the first place we saw each other. I think it was a mutual friends party in LA.
Yeah, we didn't even know each other. The question was, did we meet on the set, or did we know each other beforehand? But we have a friend who had a party in Los Angeles, and I just arrived in Los Angeles, and they all thought, we've got to look after him, we've got to give him something to do. So they invited me to this dinner party, and you were there.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I was told to look after him. When we got, because you were 24 when you got the job or something like that, and I was like, this LA, I'd been through it and all that stuff. But and we were friends for most of the years. I mean, his fiancée would come over to dinner with him, and back and forth. Oh yeah, I saw most of the
loves
girlfriends.
saying that.
No, but it's true.
She loves this bit.
There was, you know, it's true. There was just a line of women that came in and out. Who's Siddig bringing this time to dinner? You know, because he was a regular visitor. We were good friends for a long time. And it's a nice way to start a relationship, I have to say. I never did it that way before.
I recommend it.
Yeah, it works out. Yes?
I have to ask, just because you're called the first lovers of Star Trek and you are doing love letters tonight, and we all see Dr. Bashir kiss the Major.
Oh, weird. He wants to see Dr. Bashir kiss the Major. But here's the thing. Major Kira would not kiss Bashir.
Well, in her dreams.
Yeah, in my dreams. Yeah, way underneath. I know. So some of you remember Fascination. Yeah, and we were...
Is it for a photograph? Like my son spends all day walking around going, I know what's happened. You've been smothering him with your lipstick kisses.
Absolutely. My favorite
Poor
thing
boy.
to do. Yes.
Is there going to be a DS9 movie?
Nah, there's not going to be a DS9 movie.
think so.
I don't think so.
You know, it's like that when they made the first, the original series movie. What was it? It was about 15 years since the show finished before they made that movie. I think it'll be a bit like that with Deep. We'll all be like, oh, we can't get Odo out of his bucket no more. Just can't get out.
Yeah, it's true. If we are, I would think it would be a scene where people dock at, you know, DS9 or something, and there we all are, you know, and it's, haha.
Full service or sell?
There's some kind of, I don't know, communication with Avery or something as God or whatever he was meant to be at that point, you know.
What happened to
he's a prophet. He's
What?
a prophet.
He became a prophet?
I
That's
think
like-
that he's a prophet. He's one of the gods.
It's cool.
Yeah.
That's
So,
cool.
who knows? But, you know, they'll yes. 2 children. Buster, who's 8, and Django, who's 4. And they're both going into school in New York City. And they both have stomach aches starting from this week. You know that August stomach ache?
Getting them to go to the school for the first time. We're going to go and check out the school. It's going to be a fun trip. I'm going to stomach ache.
And Django, you
Now
know.
you've got a stomach ache. Now we're going to the school.
Django, who's just this open, wonderful child, you know. We take him and the headmistress is saying, hello, you know, are you happy to be coming here? And he goes, no. No, I don't want to talk to you. You know, like, oh, Django, okay, he's just tired. But he's not like that at all. They just, you know, it's the August school thing. They'll be fine. They'll be good. They're great boys, yes.
The name change. That's going to haunt me for the rest of my life. You know, I think at the end of the day, I've had a few years to reflect on it now. And I think it was just a prank. And it was partly a prank that helped me because I couldn't stand people getting my name wrong. And El Fadil is just too complicated for a lot of people. I don't mean to patronize people in any way by saying that, but it was just complicated. So rather than becoming like, they can just say Alex. They know. People can really grasp that concept. That helped a bit. Otherwise, it was just kind of fun because we were all really angry with Paramount at that time about the fact that they were selling all our photographs and dolls and blow-up things. Well, your blow-up things. They didn't do any blow-up things on me, and I was pissed. And they weren't giving us a cut, so which they said in the contract news. We were all very blah, 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 blah. So I just went, I'm going to change the names, so they're going to have to change all the merchandising, which they did without worry, but I just had to do that.
Sid was definitely the loose cannon in the group
I was
in terms
a bit
of
of a nut.
politics. Yeah, he just didn't
I would
care.
boycott things. They would have a group photograph for the you know, there's one photograph without my picture in it, and a comic. There's one season. That was because I boycotted the photographic session. And they were like, Oh, were you not there? Like, no, I wasn't there. No, we didn't notice. But that was really, there's no really amazingly important reason. It happened over a few beers in a restaurant in London with some friends of mine there, and they said, change your name. Hell, everybody seems to have got the grips of your name now. Change it! So I did.
So now I'm the only one known as El Fadil, you know? And I see what he meant. Every time it's like, I can't find your name in the computer. Okay, look under E. All right, look under L, because maybe they misunderstood and they didn't put the E up. Maybe it's under F. And you go through 15 minutes, you know, and it's like, it's not worth it.
No, it's a nightmare.
But I'm sticking with it. El Fadil. I think it's beautiful.
I'm
It's
bailing.
a beautiful name. Yes.
I'm afraid I can't speak Arabic anymore. I used to speak Arabic quite well when I was a small child.
Just say your full name. That's Arabic enough. Your full, just once.
Gail knows my name better than I do. I get it wrong. It's Siddig, Al-Tahir, Al-Fadil, Abdurrahman, Al-Mahmad Ahmed, Al-Mahdi.
See? See what I mean? That's the name you should start using. Put that in your computer. Now that would have messed Paramount
I
up.
named this child Siddig Al-Fadil.
On every photograph, can you imagine the whole thing? That would have messed them up.
Yes. The autograph line is 8 hours long.
Can't hear you at all. When was that? In Paris?
I had a problem with my trousers at a convention appearance. In Germany. Oh! You told me I had a problem with my trousers and I didn't know it. Isn't that right? Go ahead.
It just
Fire away.
frightens me. I have no recollection of this. None whatsoever.
That's what you always say.
I really
How many times married people, like, the big fights, arguments, but you said, I don't remember saying that. Well, I can't fight with your memory of the event. I don't remember you giving me the keys. I gave you the goddamn keys!
It's always about keys, isn't it? I think for everybody. It's always about the keys. But what happened? You split your pants?
I figure that's probably what happened.
What happened? You know. Come on, you tell the story. That sounds typical.
That'll be it.
Yeah. That sounds about right. What's that? Oh, see, now it's getting really interesting to me. The German girl who wanted to see his posterior? Huh?
Which one? Which posterior?
You saw us in Salt Lake City?
Yeah, I remember we were there. That was...
I think that was our last...
Yeah, it's the last time we appeared.
Last American thing.
Situational.
I think so, situational. Yeah. I think that's right. This German girl there wanted to see... A strategic seam rip. My God, are you all right today? Everything looks fine today? Are there any German girls in the immediate area? I'd like to know. Oh, there probably are. All right. Anyway, someone had a question. Yes. How many what? How many conventions do we average a year? Not much.
We have a rule. We pretty much do any conventions. Well, that's not true. We try and do conventions abroad if we can, because it's great to get away. And B, that they never see anybody, because they never get to see. I mean, in England, we did one in England last year, this year, May, this year.
Yes.
They see some of us every 10 years max, because imagine trying to get us out there, and especially during filming. So I don't know, I think I do probably two a year.
Something like that.
Maybe.
Florida. Now that would be fun.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah, that would be great. Love it.
Whereabouts in Florida are you from? Whereabouts is that? Oh, okay. You're neighbors. Cool. Okay. That's near Tampa.
There you go.
Excellent. I think I've been to Tampa.
So we have 2 people at that convention.
Yeah.
Are you from Florida too?
Miami.
Miami. That's the 3. Hi. How you doing? And you?
Excellent. See? Get together with them later. You're the Florida contingency. We can do, maybe just at Denny's or something, the 6 of us. Something intimate.
Wouldn't there be a conflict? It'd be like, treat for those and triple in fries. Was that a question or is that my response? Table 23, your number. I was just saying when I was in the don't they shout it out over the microphone when people's stuff is ready at Denny's? No. So no one understood what I was going on about throughout that whole
We
routine.
were watching you carefully.
They were all watching going, what a... That's not even... It's just like, yeah.
No, but it's that
Dot.
kind of place. It's that,
Okay.
it's that kind of place. I don't think you've ever been to Denny's.
No.
No.
Except I do remember being really angry. There was a Denny's on the way to Paramount Studios when I used to go down, and when I did a show when I was called Distant Voices, and I had a ancient makeup on, and I went in at about 3 o'clock in the morning to start work, and I got so incensed because there were still people in the Denny's eating, finishing off their day. And I can't tell you how annoying it is to see people having a drink, laughing at 3 o'clock in the morning when you are just beginning your day. I don't know if anybody here works in the services or anything like that who experience all that all the time. I don't know, fire, police, hospitals. What a nightmare. I'm not going to do it. I pity you. Sorry. Start work at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., forget it. Armin, no wonder he turned out the way he did.
He's just angry.
He's angry.
Yeah, I think that's all. Any other questions? Yes?
How do we feel about DS9 coming to an end?
I wept. I was so emotional. I couldn't, the last day, I just was a constant flood. I was really, really sad. I had a feeling, there's something, I don't know if it's everybody, but it's certainly me, a tribal feeling, and I felt like I was a member of a tribe and I didn't want to leave. I loved everything about it. I enjoyed the work. I enjoyed the acting. And I knew that I wasn't going to get an opportunity like that again, to do such interesting, far-flung ideas. And so I was very sad. And then a year later, interestingly enough, I went, gee whiz, life can be so much nicer. That was hard. That was really a hard way to live. Exhausting. So I was sad, and now I'm really relieved. Actually, very relieved.
Colum's coming tomorrow. He's coming tomorrow. You can ask him the same question. I just sat at the bar with Colum in the last scene when Avery was giving a rather emotional speech about this is where we all wind up, the coming together. Remember that speech in the scene? The singer. Dick.
No.
Vic. I knew it was either Dick's or Vic's. All right, so we were in Vic's place, and Avery was going, and this is a full circle, and we love each other, man, and all that sort of stuff was going on. And Colm and I were drinking some light beer, which they had in the glass especially for us that day, because they normally didn't give us any alcohol at all, but that day they thought they'd give us a bit of light beer. And that was plenty for Colm and I. And he just got to, and it's been one of the most emotional times of my life. And Colm and I was like, bullshit.
It was a little more explosive than what he just did, and he got into trouble for it.
Avery.
The scene,
Yes!
Avery was very angry. I'm not doing the scene. I'm not doing it till we film it then. They're going to be like that.
Everybody was there. Everybody came crowding onto the set that day.
Oh, yeah.
Producers, people we didn't even know. We had producers we'd never seen before. There were people who were making money off that show we didn't even know were there.
Yeah, it's true.
The guys who were doing the guys' thing in the area with the checkbook thing that ended up meaning we didn't get any money that year.
Yeah, they were there.
They were there.
Yeah.
They were all there. So that was, it wasn't very emotional, except it was emotional seeing you being emotional for me. That was one of the moments because they did this beautiful number, this song Vic did, and he walked around and he came up to the Kira's character and was like, I don't know, something like, you look pretty after all these years or something. Remember that line? Remember that song? And he said something like that.
The way you smile.
What?
Your wrinkled nose.
Oh, your wrinkled little nose. I knew that. It was something to do with wrinkles. And boy, am I in trouble later. I can't get away with the whole, it was just a joke, honey line, after 3 or 4 attempts at it. I'm sorry, I'm not doing it.
That was a good one.
And you burst into tears when Vic came and did it. It's like, whoa. And that was choking for me. It was a real choker. So you were my emotion for that day, I think.
It was hard. It was really hard to say goodbye. You know, a whole 7 years of my life, the chapter closed. There's no way to say it didn't. It closed. So it was a big deal. Did you have a question? Did I like playing, which was my favorite, regular Kira or the Mirror Universe? They both were equally interesting. The intendant had her own set of problems, mainly the costume, because what you don't know is that it was made out of rubber. And, you know, here comes the intendant walking down the corridor, right, you know, and it looks really interesting. But if you're actually there, this is what it is. I go, well, it was, I switched everything. I had to add my voice to every single scene that the intendant did. It put a damper on the whole thing. You know, I tried to go, well,
True, so true.
and they had this huge, you know, one of those huge industrial fans, because what they also didn't realize is that it was hot, and it was like days like this, and I'm in this rubber suit. It didn't breathe at all anywhere, plus, you know, stuff, belts over it, and when I sweat, it just like little blossoms starting everywhere of dark. So in between shots, they had this huge fan that I'd have to be like this. It wasn't quite as glamorous as, you know, once we pieced it all together. It's a little bizarre. But Kira was more satisfying in the long run. If I had to do one of them for a long time, it would have been definitely, no doubt about it, Kira. Because she was so flawed. She was so wrong sometimes. And there's such a human truth to that. And I love that freedom in the show, you know. You don't often get that. Very often they're looking for ratings, or they're looking for people to be big stars, and they want women especially to be flawless, you know, in every sense of the word. You don't make mistakes. You're always rational. You're always in control, and that's so boring. That's boring. As a human being, it's boring. No one wants to see that in real life, and I certainly don't want to see it, you know, in film or TV. So that's why I love doing Kira. That was fun. Yes?
Hi. In the episode where the Defiant is destroyed and Cher has to carry Kira off set to the evacuation, how many takes did that do?
It took way, carrying, you remember that? I remember that she's remarkably light, I have to tell you. That's one of the, I mean, that's a real bonus to doing a scene like that. It's like, I'll carry Kira, I'll do the Kira thing. Because that was a no-problem situation. I think we probably did about 6 takes. That would be an average of that kind of, with the effects and all the smoke and stuff. It wasn't too harsh. I could have been a scenario where I was really on my knees. It was like, okay, me, you know. Could have been carrying Avery off the set.
Or me when I was pregnant. God, that would have been a nightmare,
that
too.
would have been harsh.
So,
like, the Steve Martin movie. Remember that movie? I can't remember what it's called. I just remember that image.
Yes.
Hey, how was Avery to work with? He's a mercurial gentleman, Avery Brooks. He's one of the most extraordinary people. I can imagine him. He's obviously an academic mind of the first rate. He has a serious brain on him, and so you get into a talk, and he just loves to be philosophical. You know, he did, yeah.
That's his shorthand. That's how he talks. It's absolutely true.
Now, So he talked to me, because I mean, I was born in Africa, and he's obviously African-American, and we had an immediate kind of bonding like that. And he would talk to me, and I've been brought up in England, you know, and I'm an African Englishman. But we don't have any, you know, Ebonics. It's not, he doesn't talk Ebonics, Avery, at all. He's much more.
No, you know,
But he has a 50s, 60s jazz jive.
he's a jazz musician.
Dig. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. That's Avery Brooks.
And the first few years, I was the only one who understood what he was saying at all. So I would walk around as a kind of interpreter. And people would say, what are they talking about? Because when he directed, he'd go, it's like, huh? And I go, yeah. He said, you got it? You dig? And I go, yeah, I got it. I know exactly what you wanted. I would. I just somehow, I got what he was talking about. He was wonderful to work with as a director. It was a real pleasure. But he's a very interesting, talk about someone who's got this full life and he walks around with it, you know what I mean? He doesn't make any excuses for the life that he brings with him, you know what I mean? And so you know who he is, and you know how he stands on things, and he's not going to make it pretty. He's not interested in making it pretty so that he's liked. And then you see him with children, and you really get it. He's amazing with young people. He's just this whole other person. He's a very interesting cat.
That's it.
That's right. Yes. Say it really loud. What was your favorite episode?
My favorite episode. Oh, I just can't remember names of episodes.
Yeah, what happened?
But one of the episodes. One of the episodes. It depends. I'm coming from two different angles here. I'm either thinking the favorite. Who asked that question? You? I'm not answering a question from you. I thought it was someone else. Forget it. Are you sure you want to hear an answer to that question? What's your name? Is that an actual lollipop you're eating there? Can I have it? Okay. All right.
You have to answer the
Just
question.
like my own child.
That's right.
No. Okay. My favorite episode was probably the one in which... Have you seen many of the episodes? You haven't seen many. So we're not going to communicate, are we?
Yeah, but it was a good question. She's thinking about the people in general. You obviously need to answer a question at this point.
Okay.
So.
Thank you for the question, by the way. I think my favorite episode would be Far Beyond the Stars, it's called.
Really?
Yeah, with Avery directing a weird mix where we were all from the 40s and the 50s and all that. Just because it was, for us, it was a big... I'll tell you what happened later, all right? Because you won't know that show. And it wouldn't have been very exciting to you because everybody just talked all the time. It's like one of those ones, you know? Have you seen many shows? Any shows? You haven't. So you have absolutely no idea what all this is about at all. You don't. That's okay. That's cool. That's so not fair.
No, but it's great because if she happens to be channel surfing and she sees you, oh, I saw him, yeah. So anyway, where's the...
Oh, you can tell your friends, I saw him in Kansas City. He's a real jerk. I saw him live. I know. I'm sure you're not allowed to use those kind of words, but I do. Okay, let's move right along. What's your favorite episode, Nana?
I don't have one. After 7 years, I have the favorite episode, you know, to watch Sid in, the favorite episode, because we were all in such a silly mood and, you know, you couldn't stop laughing, the favorite episode for content. So I don't know. I don't really have Far Beyond the Stars is interesting.
It was a good one. I mean, it was just really cool. It was a big break for us, because we were always in our spacesuits, and it got to be a real refreshing thing to get out of the spacesuit for a change and put on some tweeds.
Yeah, it's true.
I made that sound like putting on tweeds was really cool.
Yeah, I know. It is to you, though.
Put on some tweeds, dude. Yeah.
I liked it. You know, I had such a struggle raising Buster, 8 years old. He didn't know anything other than his mother on this show. He never saw Star Trek. He never saw me in the show because I thought that would just be too creepy. It was bad enough when I brought the little action figure home, you know, and I gave it to him just to know if he'd recognize me. He was about 1 at the time, and he went, Mama, and then handed it to the dog. After that, I thought, you know, it's probably better not to introduce him to this wild, wacky world. But you know, violence on TV and no guns, and I went through that whole thing trying to keep guns away, you know, and from boys. One of the first times that he saw me on the set, he always, after he was a certain age, I always had him on the set. Otherwise, I wouldn't have seen him at all. It was just a real situation. He had to be there. And he had to be there when we were filming, and he was amazingly good. But one of the first times, I had, this laser must have been, you know, this long. And I'm shooting the hell out of everybody. And they've all got squibs, you know, those exploding things, and you know, men are going down everywhere, and I'm shooting them all and escaping from some cave. Buster must have been looking at me like, you know, the double standard doesn't get any better than this. I can't play with guns, but look at the size of Mama's gun. And special little things that make it look like she's really killing people. So, but yeah, hi, I didn't see you there. So yeah, how did I get onto that? Well, favorite episodes. That's one I remember. That's not a favorite, but that's one I definitely remember. For Content Duet, I thought that was just a really good show. That was a show meant to save money, and it had such wonderful thoughts in it, I thought. You know, such wonderful ideas, and I thought it was really well executed.
Stories about Andy Robinson. Oh, God. Everyone thought that Andy Robinson and the Garrett character and Bashir for the first couple of years were a kind of possibly a homosexual couple. And he actively encouraged that. That was actually all right. That was all right. Except it didn't leave much room for Bashir to do any stuff. You know, it was like, well, okay. But I don't really have many stories about Andy.
You know, you made me think. I've got to bring this.
You got a good story about Andy?
No, I've got a clip, an outtake that they sent me from one of the last shows we filmed of me not being able to keep a straight face, and Andy saying some
speech
way over the top line, saying it in typical Andy over the top fashion, and it was too much for me. I was trying to, you know, we were in the Kardashian, you know, hell chamber and, you know, all of that, and I laughed, and I ended up, I laughed take after take after take, and he kept saying, no, come on, pull it together, and it was something like, we'll cut off the worm's head, and it was like, it really was.
Oh, I remember the scene. Yes, it was the scene when he was explaining how to eat worms.
No, about attacking the Kardashian thing, and I just was. Cut off the snake's head and the body will die. Thank you very much. That's exactly what he was saying. In typical Andy, you know, really big. He was committed to that line, both feet in, and it was the funniest thing I ever heard in my life.
And used to have one thing. People had to be really careful working with Andy. We had to always keep him in a good mood. Not because he was naturally an angry man. Never. In fact, you meet him generally, he's like the sweetest guy you could ever meet. It's like teddy bear you push over. But once he's in that stuff, he's in literally a wetsuit glued to his body, he gets hotter and hotter. And he has no heat retention capability whatsoever. 2 minutes in that suit, he's like, okay, I'm gonna blow. Blow, let's get this over with. And every day, he's like a little powder keg. You've got to be a little bit careful with Andy. You can ask him that. I think I'm doing something with Andy, and I don't know if you're going to be there, but if you are, ask him that. And he'll just kind of blow, and he's going to blow everybody. And he did, often.
Oh, yeah. And when he blows big time. But a lot of people did in the makeup. It gets to you after a while. When I was a Kardashian, for 20 hours I was in this makeup, I started to say to the director, and this is like, I do not do this. I am Miss Professional. I started to pull at it and say, that's it, that was your last take. And he said, no, I've got more takes. We've got another setup. That no, that was your last take. And I started to rip the makeup off. It makes you crazy because you can't breathe very well. and your breath comes back at you from the nose, and it's worse than you can imagine. It's really a serious.
I've got to ask, there's a chap who was asking a question back there. Get up quickly, because you didn't get it last time.
All right. What was the reaction of your castmates when they found out you were dating?
When they found out we were dating, it was a big secret for a long time. At least that's what we think.
Like a day?
Like a day.
No, really, seriously. I think so, because I remember you being very proper about the whole thing, and you went and announced it to people.
What?
Yes, you did. So, yes, you did. Yes,
There is no way I would have announced that to
You
me.
did.
Anna and I are now dating. Yes.
you did. You went up to
Thank you. Thank
you
you.
went to people individually. You did. You said, I just want to let you know that I and I are now dating.
That is not policy.
I'm sorry.
The memory is just gone. Shot.
You did. It was great. It was almost like, going and asking my father or something, except it was, 7 other cast members. You did. You did.
Conceive of myself doing that, but
Yeah.
maybe I did.
Yeah. And he's the one who told our producer that we were having a baby. And that was, do you remember that? You don't remember that?
Anybody else here married? Okay. I know what you're going through, man. Oh yeah. She did all those things, but she's saying you did, because you're in public.
I remember where I was sitting on the couch, Genesi's on the phone, Rick Berman, I didn't want to make a phone call. I thought literally that I'd be written out of the show for a while, and it was great. They made it work.
Oh, I did say that to him.
Oh, yeah. So innocent! So innocent!
I remember that.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that's an exception, but that was a reason, mitigating circumstance.
Right. So it's called surrender. You had a question?
I was
The most remarkable thing, didn't he sound like he was actually 5 miles further?
Yeah, how did you do that?
Yeah, it's like he threw his voice way back.
That's you.
Did we get souvenirs from the set? Stories about the set? Oh, one thing I remember it was during the pilot, and we were on the promenade, the promenade. And it was just before the scene we did together, and I'm supposed to be cleaning up the mess that is DS9 because the Kardashians just left. Oh, yeah. And they said, just put those things and pull that off. And, they had some things rigged for me, the prop guys, to pull off the wall. And I thought it was remarkably hard, but they wanted to show that I was strong. And, it was like this DS9 type dumpster that I put stuff in. And they were very upset with me because evidently I pulled all the lighting fixtures off. I wasn't supposed to do that. They had special little things for me, but I yanked these things right off, and it took them quite a while to put them back on before we could resume filming. But, I was into it. I was Major Kira. I was supposed to be tough stuff. And I did get something off the promenade. Remember the sign with the bony-looking fish? I said, I want that, and I started my, my campaign way before the end, and then I got it, and evidently Rick Berman said no one's supposed to have any bit of the promenade, no one's supposed to take stuff, but I've got it, we've got it, somewhere in some box. I had dreams of putting it up and stuff, but it's a big damn fish, It's not like that thing on the plaque, put me in the water. No, this thing's big. It's really big, yeah. It so would depend. I mean, we've made a life now in New York, and it would really depend on how. I think for both of us.
Yeah, it's tricky. We now have, the children are going to have been in school for at least a year by that point in New York. We moved consciously. I don't know if anybody here lives in LA right now, but we moved in LA just out of self-preservation. It's a very tricky city, especially for actors to live in. And we are so happy that we moved up east, the idea of going back would be just unconscionable at the moment.
It'd be hard. There's so many things to
really
consider. It would be a lot to consider, and we would certainly consider them. My first instinct would be, yes, I want to do that again. But, you know, and then it would get real, and how do we make that work? And it would be a big deal.
You've got children everywhere, and they're in school, and it's solid, and you know that in LA they can't walk anywhere, whereas in New York, as they can here, they just walk to the park, walk to the mall, walk to see a relative, or whatever it is, and then it's just in a car, to somewhere, out of the car, be there for a couple of seconds, back in the car, go somewhere else. It's just too much, and I think that the change, the kids are so much happier now that they have parks and they can go crazy and it's safe. I mean, relatively speaking, I never thought I'd say that about New York City, but it's much safer than LA. And so we love it. I don't know.
And another complication is that Buster's father and his wife and child made the move east with us so that we could all remain intact and Buster wouldn't be pulled here and there, which is a big deal. And it's like, whoops, we were just kidding. We're going back to LA. Come on, follow us, you know? It's like, that's not exactly a peace train we'd be on, I don't think. So, you know, there's like a lot of people to consider. Well, you know, it was business. It always had been about business. And as, you know, people in the business, I think we got it. And it was like, you know, you do what you have to do. We did what we had to do and what we wanted to do. So it was very fair. It wasn't like, oh my God, how could they do that to her? It's what, you know, she knew what was probably going to happen. So I, for one, you know, understood it. It was sad. It was weird. And it was just, you know, after you've been on a show, it's like being in the trenches for a while, and we all shared the same kind of war stories and the same kind of, you know, kind of sense of humor about situations. And the only thing poor Nicole would face was, you know, this bunch of actors. They were like, yeah, so, you know, we were a little, not bitter, but we had a certain atmosphere. She said, how can you say that? I think this is the best, you know,
She was very sweet, Nicole.
She was very sweet.
Nice. She was actually the best choice they could have made for a replacement for Terry, because you needed someone with real balls to be able to take over where Terry left off, obviously, because it's like she leaves a huge gap in the cast. And Nicole was savvy, streetwise, didn't take any rubbish from anybody.
But I think it was still hard, because we're difficult.
We are difficult. We were jaded. I mean, when you come into a show, I can't remember who asked that question. It was you, wasn't it? Yeah. We come into a show and you've been on it for 5, 6 years. And I mean, you've been at work for 5, 6 years. A lot of people here have been working at some place for a long time. You may love the job, but you're like, you know, I hate the boss. It's just, you know, what a... And man, the lunch was rubbish today. And I just don't have enough time to live here. This place is a dump. And we're like that when you come down to Deep Space Nine after 5 years. We're like, you know, this is just rubbish. This place stinks. This is right. I'm turning into the New Yorker again. Anyway.
Or things like our senses of humor, that Sid would say something about, you know, oh, we better get out the big, you know, actresses in the old days. The older they got filters, so that you filter out the wrinkles and you look younger and all that stuff. And Sid would invariably make a joke about the filters coming out and, oh my God, it's going to be a long setup, it's an Oz shot. I found that hysterically funny, and it'd been 6 years of that. Nicole was like, oh!
He's so rude.
Yeah, he's so rude. What kind of sick relationship do they have? You know? But she didn't know that. I just find that funny. And
she didn't believe what kind of sick relationship.
Better she doesn't know. But after about 6 months, you know, she caught on and she got it, and it was very cool. But it was an adjustment period.
She was swinging them with the best of them. I mean, Michael Dorn and her were good pals, and she was out there with Michael Dorn, and she can hang it with Michael Dorn. She can hang it with anybody, because he's done 10 or 15 years of it.
Yeah.
Been there forever. Children, please excuse my swearing the whole time. I don't know why, I just can't help it. I have some sort of Tourette's thing. I am not a good example of an adult. Just so we get that clear.
She's not paying attention anyway. Now she's got some kind of drink thing out. No, you can drink. Go ahead. I'm just glad you're not listening to his.
Can I have some?
Filthy mouth.
Can I have a sip?
See, good.
I won't take it all. I promise, I won't take it all.
Okay. She's laughing.
Have you got any of that lollipop left? Is it stuck under your chair? Okay.
Yes. Was there tension between the old cast members and the new, like Colin and Michael and, no?
No. We were remarkably untense,
No.
the whole situation.
I was a little tense when Michael came on because I really, I was.
You were.
Yeah, and I like Michael so much. He was over at our house for dinner all the time.
And Michael misunderstood a comment. I made a comment in the press. You've got to finish your story, but I'll just... No, there was a comment that I made in the press about Michael being... I thought, hey, you know, our show, what have we haven't got? We haven't got a Worf. You know, the next generation had Worf. And there was someone go, I'm Worf. And I'm big and I'm tough and I'll kick your rehind. I changed that word. I know, I had to change that word. You know what trouble I'm in already for all the swearing I'm doing up here?
But rehind?
Rehind. Sounds like behind.
Behind is okay. That's an okay word.
Yeah, well, he kicked his, he'd kick anybody's
all
rehind.
right, okay, go on from there. It's only going to get worse.
Okay.
So, but what did you say about Michael?
So I said in our press, I said, we welcome him. You know, we need a bit of zippity machismo.
Zippity.
Zippity machismo.
Michael thought that he was like, you know,
I thought I was being, facetious. He thought I was being sarcastic about, oh, here comes Michael Dorn, the big airhead, big brawn muscle guy with no... And I wasn't meaning that at all. And for 2 years, Michael didn't mention it to me until he was finally at dinner, and he was like, so what do you mean by the zippity thing? I was like, I didn't realize he harbored this bitterness towards me.
Zippity really got him.
To me, that's like up. You know, it's like up and an effervescence. I should have said effervescent. All right,
That
lesson
sounds
learned.
too light, you know. That's the whole thing. But yeah, I was peeved because I felt like he was coming into, you know, it's like, oh,
Said peeved.
Peeved. Well. I know who says peeved, except someone married to an Englishman. Because I felt like he was going to take over my role, you know, as the first officer, and indeed he did, you know, captain the Defiant. I have to tell you about them. I really took it personally. I really liked captaining the Defiant. I was angry when I didn't get to do it.
You did, I remember that.
It meant something. The captain's chair meant something to me. I took it all so seriously. And so I felt like, well, okay, now I'm being demoted to some kind of secretary. And for the year, and that was the year they put me in heels and suddenly decided to curl my hair. I think that was the year Viacom took over and said, well, you got to do something about her. And they did, and it was like, okay, now I'm mincing in, and can I get you gentlemen anything? It might as well have been that for what I felt. So I was bitter about that, but as soon as I got to know Michael, it didn't matter. It didn't matter at all. Yes. Yes. They tried to microwave Diana, the dog.
That qualified as a practical joke?
That's horrific.
I've got the whole legal thing wrong here. There's so much more fun we could be having.
They were much better about practical jokes than we were.
Yeah.
I was the big practical joker, and I was pretty pathetic. You know, I did little.
We were very serious-minded.
Yeah.
I mean, we just came in, did the job, and left. I mean, that was literally how we did it. There was very little practical jokery going on. Nothing that was interesting enough that you know, such in jokes that wouldn't be noticeable by most people.
It's true. Yes.
How about the scenes with you and Odo, and he would be with somebody? Was there any...
Love scenes. Was it weird? Were love scenes weird?
Yeah, it's kind of fun. Esri.
No, he wouldn't be in the background. What?
What?
What did he just say? Huh?
Talk about the stack.
I don't know what that is. It's some kind of latent male fantasy thing that I don't understand. I have nothing to do with. I have never had anything to do with that kind of stuff, and I think it's perverse and shouldn't be allowed. In fact, I think these people should be microwaved, a lot of them.
There were a lot of people on the set that day.
It was
when,
sick.
Yeah,
Sick.
when I
Everybody said so. They
Yeah.
said, this is a sick scene, and we don't want to be near here, they said to me. They said, you shouldn't be seeing this because this is your wife.
Yeah. And somehow everybody was there. Yeah. So, you know, I take it all.
Why is that though?
What?
Why is that make ratings? That, like, people have
I
like,
know.
well, the show's dying. Let's have a couple of the ladies kissing each other for this scene. And I was like, the ratings are up 3% this week. There's something going on in
Poor
society
Nicole.
that, yeah, I know.
She ended up
she
kissing
doesn't know what
everybody.
she's kissing.
You know, including
She's
me.
like, do I have to kiss him?
Yeah.
Does,
It was
everybody
like-
she met on the scene was like, we don't kiss yet? Okay, I'm sorry.
It's true, poor thing. And she was saying, my grandmother's going to see this. I really don't want to. I don't want to do this scene. And of course, it just wasn't. That kind of stuff isn't personal to me. So it's like,
It wasn't very, to answer your question, it's not personal. Who asked that question? I have a problem with my memory. You don't get to a position, it's very hard to get to a position of you can't take it too seriously because you go nuts.
That's when I'm doing it. When he's doing it, it's very personal. I didn't like it at all. I didn't.
I know, well,
it's true.
you can do, you know, we're faking it, it's
I
not
would just-
real.
Yeah, I
You
did.
know?
Mhm.
Yeah. But it isn't. You try, yeah?
The first woman that he had a love scene with, he ended up engaged to in like, what, 2 weeks
Yeah?
on the show? He was
So?
engaged.
So?
So, you know, I mean, it's like it's a little personal, let's be real. All these people say, oh, it means nothing. Well, yeah, I don't know.
It's true, it's weird.
You know, it's
I
weird.
remember that.
Yes. Have I ever kissed a director?
You're just a tramp. I've had enough of the whole thing. It's just too much. One too many times than enough.
No, I would be a horrible director. I would be,
No, that is absolutely not true.
I
Apart
just,
from your memory.
yeah, you know, it's like directing is like a chess game, and I'm really interested in the move I'm making at the moment, which makes for good acting, but I'm not interested in the move, you know, 5 moves down. I love having something to say to Sid. I love when he would be directing or when he does direct and we have discussions. That stuff interests me. But to actually have command of the whole thing, I don't think so. Maybe in 10, 20 years, maybe then. But right now, I'm more of an actor, I think, and it's fine. I'm next
She
in.
has to, please.
I'm next in on Broadway, but Charlotte D'Amboise, the woman who's doing it right now, you know, it's... What are you suggesting?
I heard that.
But, yeah, I just, when she decides to leave, I go in. So I'm really looking forward to that, because it's a great role. It's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it very much. No, I know. There's a tour going to Portugal, but I just can't, you know, I can't see going to Portugal right now. Again, some of these decisions are made, you know, according to children and knowing what Sid might have happening and that he might travel to London to work. Someone's got to stay home, and then he'll do it for me, you know. He'll be the one who stays home, but going to Portugal with Chicago probably isn't a good reason to do it. Yes, you had a question. No? I answered it. Okay. Someone else had a question.
We gotta stop now.
Oh, we gotta stop?
We gotta
One more question.
Thank
One
you,
more
thank
question.
you. I have to take her back now. Thank you, though. Thank you. We have to go now, sweetie. Be careful down the steps. Thank you. You were very sweet to her. Thank you. Thanks very much. Thank you, by the way. I just answered your question. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the lovers of Star Trek. Okay, I'm on one of
Smaller than last night. We were there last night. Those people weren't here last night.